Story 1. It's huge here and would really bring about a major uproar on Reddit. I'm all for it. Story 2. As long as nobody can tell that I'm posting from Wisconsin, I'm okay with such a change. Story 3. Absolutely. A few years back, the year-end roundup for Reddit showed where posts for each subreddit were coming from. The top 3 contributors to the Reddit Canada subreddit, by a significant margin, were 3 accounts from Russia. Several Russian accounts were also submitting large portions of content to many of our city subreddits. Note: several people asked, so here is an article about them being found on several Alberta city subreddits. Did Reddit year-end recaps expose Russian interference in Alberta? Story 4. This feature would be useful for revealing who promotes one-sided ideologies on this platform. It is ironic how many shills on X, formerly Twitter, claim they voted, but their accounts appear to be based in other countries. There are likely many shills on Reddit as well. I do not think this feature will be used on Reddit because too much power would be lost. Story 5. This might be a dumb question, but are foreign intelligence agents really not using virtual private networks? Story 6. Bots are the bigger issue on Reddit. This site is 3 bots in a trench coat. Check the average number of users in the United States. Then compare that number to the total population of the United States, and you will find that something does not add up. Story 7. Reddit is trending in the opposite direction. Allowing users to make their activity private makes it harder to detect bots and brigading. Story 8. Honestly, if Reddit ever revealed users' country of origin like Twitter just did, half the platform would go silent overnight. Many people talk big until their anonymity is lost. Story 9. I do not know how to prevent automated accounts and malicious actors from polluting social media in ways that harm society, but knowing roughly where an account is from would certainly help. Story 10. I think it would be a great idea. I am a human from the United Kingdom. I commented something negative about Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and the current administration. I instantly received very rabid comments flatly denying it, saying no, he did not, and you are a liar. I cited sources in response, but there was total silence. It was either 5 abusive users or both accounts. I cannot tell at this stage. Story 11. Finally, we can find out if all those accounts that post at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with oddly formal English are actually just Boris in his underwear eating pickled herring. I would be fine with it. Not because I think it will solve everything, but because right now we are all arguing with ghosts and do not even know it. I have had full debates with accounts that turned out to be operated from other countries that have a vested interest in making people in the United States hate each other more. Knowing where someone is posting from does not automatically make them wrong or right. Plenty of Americans spread misinformation as well. But context matters. If someone is pushing very specific talking points about why we should distrust our elections or hate our neighbors, and they are doing it from a cubicle in St. Petersburg, that is information I want to have. As a Nigerian who recently moved to the United States, I have seen this mess from both sides. On the Nigeria subreddit, we are dealing with a literal genocide, and the comment section is full of people who cannot tell the difference between Niger State and the country of Niger. You will see accounts claiming the Central Intelligence Agency is behind all our problems. Sure, there is foreign interference in our politics. But anyone who watched our last election knows the real issue is how tribalistic we became. We do not need conspiracy theories when the actual problems are right there. Would some people abuse it? Yes. You would get the crowd that says your opinion does not count because you are posting from a different state. But we already have that. At least this way we would know when we are being manipulated by actual coordinated influence campaigns instead of just suspicious accounts. The real question is whether Reddit would do it right. Twitter's implementation is reportedly messy, and Reddit's track record with transparency is not stellar. In theory, however, display the flags and let me make informed decisions about who I am engaging with. Story 12. I wouldn't care, since I post a lot in the subreddit for my province, Alberta, Canada, so it's not like I'm hiding where I'm from. The drama of swarms of bots and agitators being exposed would be amusing, but I imagine they would just spoof where they create the account or post from and go right back to work as if nothing happened. Story 13. Maybe that is one of the reasons they want to introduce social media age restrictions everywhere, because then we will all have to provide our identification to link to our accounts, and they will know the nationality of the account holder. We will have to give up any semblance of privacy or anonymity. Sigh. Story 14. It is funny that people think only pro-conservative accounts were exposed. Many anti-conservative accounts were exposed as well, which makes sense given their frequent anti-United States posts. Story 15. We should demand this. Moderators should shut down subreddits for a day or more. Story 16. Well, I would not be surprised if it turned out most of the assholes here were bot farms. Story 17. Do you remember the Hillary shit show on Reddit during the election? Story 18. There are influencers on Twitter, people with hundreds of thousands of followers who get retweeted and whose words spread. That is not the case on Reddit. It does not matter who you are. Each post must stand on its own merits, and I seldom look at the username on any post. Apparently, Twitter removed the country of origin label almost immediately because it showed the platform was being used for foreign propaganda. Story 19. I fully support it, but it should not go beyond the country level because of privacy and security concerns for individual users. I do not mind if people know I am from a large country of over 300 million people, but I would be concerned if they knew my exact region. Bad actors dislike exposure. Revealing that information helps people who are not malicious and harms those who pretend to be from somewhere else to be convincing or to influence. Story 20. I am all in favor. I only wish they could run a script telling you how many of your comments and replies had been to a foreign agent or a bot. Story 21. I do not want the country. I want the city. Let us see exactly how many of these accounts are coming from Elgin Air Force Base. Story 22. The anti-money meme subreddit would collapse once users finally understood why people keep trying to convince us that China is based. Story 23. The conservative subreddit would be a wasteland if Russians could not post and upvote their propaganda there. Story 24. I would welcome it. Bring what we can to light. Mind you, there are virtual private networks out there to mask it. Story 25. I think it should be everywhere. There is mass propaganda on social media, and not enough people realize or acknowledge how much it influences people's opinions. Story 26. Reddit has always thrived because of its anonymity compared with other social media sites. I remember how outraged this community used to be at any suggestion that anonymity would be reduced. How times have changed. Story 27. Good. It turns out that all the people sowing division in America on Twitter are not American. I love the new update. Story 28. This moves Reddit in the opposite direction, unfortunately. The recent change allowing users to hide their entire comment history primarily benefited bots, trolls, and other single-issue accounts because it made them much harder to spot. Story 29. I support this feature. When discussing matters in a country, you do not want someone else pretending to be from that country. You also do not want people outside the country amplifying claims and making it seem that a resident is engaging in those activities. Story 30. They should get really specific with it if they do it. This is your semi-regular reminder that Reddit once accidentally revealed that the town near a military base in Florida has a ludicrously disproportionate Reddit presence, to the point that it is 100% a government psychological operation that has been run for at least a decade. Story 31. It's a massive deal around here and would definitely cause a huge uproar on Reddit. I'm completely in favor of it. Story 32. Even if I am not the typical poster, it would be interesting to see the country of origin of the moderators of large subreddits. Story 33. The idea sounds good on paper until you consider how the internet actually works. If someone runs influence operations from inside the target country, uses a virtual private network, or hires locals, a country of origin label becomes meaningless. Catches sloppy actors and misses competent ones. Here is the uncomfortable part. The United States, Russia, China, Iran, the United Kingdom, everyone plays this game far beyond social media. We run influence campaigns overseas and they run them here. If we start tagging others while exempting ourselves, it stops being transparency and becomes selective transparency, which is propaganda with better branding. If the goal is reducing misinformation, The solution is probably not flags next to usernames. It is platform auditing, bot detection, ad transparency, and throttling coordinated inauthentic behavior. Otherwise, we are not fixing the problem, just labeling the amateurs. Story 34. Indians everywhere, laughing out loud. But seriously, it would be funny, especially in some United Kingdom groups where there are many bots. Story 35. Yes, please. This should be required by law for all platforms. Story 36. I don't personally care. I do think, however, that a lot of big names would be fucked. Story 37. Not the point of the post, but it is funny how it was more than 2 years ago that Twitter was renamed and nobody cared enough to use the new name. Story 38. Yes. At minimum, show moderators the country from which a post was made. Ideally include aggregated network information so residential internet service providers can be distinguished from virtual private cloud providers. This should be an option that individual subreddits can enable or disable for display to users. Story 39. Is there a subreddit or thread that compiles the wildest ones? Story 40. I would like to see where the karma farming bots are from. Story 41. If this becomes commonplace across platforms, the farms will simply use a virtual private network to access the United States before logging in. Story 42. Go further and show the cities. I am not saying there are no racists in my city posting online. I am saying the local racists post on Facebook instead. Story 43. Also expose whether the post was made via the website or via the application programming interface, and which application identifier was used. It would be extremely illuminating, but it will never happen. Reddit implemented those changes specifically to sell access to bots. Story 44. I would love that. I see subreddits being ruined by what appear to be bots. Story 45. Given that this is an anonymous board, I would be miffed. I have been careful not to dox myself, but if my home location were shown, a few people could probably figure it out. If it were not an anonymous board and had not been advertised to me that way, I would probably be all for it. Given how much political swaying happens here from people who are clearly not American, Democrat, people of color, and so on, I think maybe Reddit should not be anonymous. Story 46. Can we add an originally from field for immigrants and others? I live in Texas, but I was born and raised in Scotland. I do not want people to assume I am a cowboy. Story 47. Do it. Clean up the bots while they're at it. Laughing out loud, yeah, right. Hurt their numbers? Story 48. I would enjoy scrolling through the chaos to see what information emerges. Bots supporting China are probably the most obvious. Story 49. I will not use any site that does not consider publicly posting any amount of location data without my consent to be a breach of privacy. The less control companies give us over our online presence, the worse off we all are. We should not normalize this loss of control over our information. It encourages companies to pursue greater public exposure of our data. Story 50. We absolutely need this feature, along with the ability to block posts from certain countries so we can filter out the worst bot offenders. Story 51. I would be curious to see just how many foreign bots I have been baited into arguing with. Story 52. Disregard users with an auto-generated name such as thing number. Story 53. Sure, go for it. I think we've been watching these foreign intelligence bot armies long enough. It's about time the West wakes up and does something. Story 54. Anything that promotes honesty online is fine with me. Go Reddit. Story 55. Do we believe that either Twitter or Reddit will not create a gold pass that allows users to manually set a country of origin? Or that Elon Musk would not simply designate a group of Democrats as being from African or Middle Eastern countries? Story 56. There are a lot of posts on Popular that seem intended to sow division. Context is misrepresented, there is outrage, and the people doing the fact-checking are downvoted. Story 57. If we did that and revealed the bots, maybe Reddit would not be on a downward trajectory. But might that affect shareholder value? That could be one reason it will not happen. Story 58. I'd love to see where the moderators of the Wall Street subreddit are based. Beep boop. Story 59. Reddit would never do it. It's one of the most manipulated platforms. Story 60. I know for a fact that this is happening on my state's subreddit. The same user has posted negative articles across our trending page, and anytime there are political posts, a brigade appears within 5 minutes defending fascists and attacking the Democratic Farmer-Labor Party. However, the brigade is thrown for a loop when everyone calls for removing Tina Smith. They are unexpectedly silent every time. Story 61. Bring it on. Tear asunder the veil of anonymity that bad actors wield to sow lies and hatred. Story 62. There are many bots on Reddit and numerous trolls pretending to be Canadian who say, "I am Canadian and actually we all hate Ukraine and love Russia." There is widespread astroturfing by businesses. I saw an ad on Facebook offering to promote brands on subreddits such as Our Pets and Our Pet Advice and so on. Story 63. Everyone knew these fucks were foreigners, but Make America Great Again embraced them anyway. It is just a sick team sport for its supporters. Story 64. I would say it is good for authenticity. It would at least give people context about where opinions are coming from and make it harder for foreign actors to influence discussions without transparency. Story 65. This demonstrates the scale of misinformation on social media and must be addressed transparently. Most of the Canadian accounts discussing separation originated from the United States and Russia. Similarly, many accounts generating north-south divisive content about India originated from Pakistan or Bangladesh. The situation has been alarming. It is unclear what the governments were doing. Story 66. United Kingdom subreddits would be all over the map because we are using virtual private networks. Story 67. It is not accurate and will lead to misinformation, which is likely intentional to smear political opponents. Anyone using a proper virtual private network would appear to be in a different location than their actual location. Story 68. Place a flag indicating where the account was created and another indicating where it is currently being used. Also, all comments generated by artificial intelligence should be flagged accordingly. Story 69. I am 100% for it. We will know where all the bots' virtual private networks are pointed. Story 70. I'm totally for it and they should not stop there. Place a flag next to artificial intelligence-generated comments as well. My only fear is that people will just skirt around it using virtual private networks. Story 71. I find it ridiculous that Reddit allows people to hide their posts. Such a thing will never happen here. Story 72. I am more interested in seeing the location of the mods, although I know that a few are currently involved in lawsuits. Story 73. I would love that, but it would never be allowed because bots and paid agitators are the lifeblood of Reddit. Story 74. Honestly, I would be fine with it as long as it protects privacy. If Reddit showed only the country, not the exact location, it would help people spot propaganda without exposing the personal information of anyone. Story 75. Given the number of disinformation campaigns occurring in the United States, social media pages should be required to clearly display their national origin. Story 76. I would vigorously support this, but I imagine several threads, such as United Kingdom News, would have very few posts and no moderators. Story 77. Reddit exposed that the city most addicted to the site in the world is Eglin Air Force Base. Story 78. I support the transparency, but it will not fix the core issue. The real foreign operators are not going to set their country of origin to Kremlin headquarters. They will just switch their virtual private network to Kansas and keep posting the same content. This will only expose low-effort bots and the occasional honest user. Story 79. Honestly, I think it would shake things up because it would make it easier to spot people pushing ideas from outside the community. But it could also make ordinary users feel uncomfortable or unsafe, since not everyone wants their country displayed. It sounds helpful in theory, but it would reduce some people's sense of comfort, and I am not sure Reddit could make it feel fair for everyone. Story 80. It is important to know that, beyond promoting transparency, this exposes deceptions occurring in America. Many bots are run, and some foreigners pose as Americans. Their actions are uninformed, often cause confusion, and contribute to corruption. Story 81. I am from China. Every Chinese social media app displays your internet protocol address on your personal profile and in the comments you post, accurate to the province. The platform X only displays the country. Story 82. Damn, that is a good idea. It helps with fake influence from other nations. Story 83. The conservative subreddit would turn out to be a single person from North Dakota talking to 20 bots from Russia. Story 84. I am a secret agent from Canada. I am here to judge your poutine and hockey. Story 85. Given how American-centric this site is, I am curious how many posts are affected. Story 86. Twitter says my account was created in the United Kingdom but is based in the United States. I have never been to the United States and I do not use a virtual private network, so I have no idea why it reports that. It would be nice to have it on Reddit, but I would hope it were more accurate because inaccuracies could lead to unnecessary arguments. Story 87. I was banned from a subreddit for pointing out that the post was not factual. The reply I received from the moderator was in Russian. The post was about an American politician. Kids, this is not your granddad's internet. Question everything. Use logic. Story 88. Start by disallowing hidden or removed posting history. Story 89. Has anyone else heard the theory that Ghislaine Maxwell was one of the most active Reddit users and a moderator of some of the largest subreddits? Story 90. Sounds good to me. By country of origin, do they mean the country where the comment or post originated, or the country where the Redditor is from? They may not always be the same, especially if the Redditor travels a lot. Story 91. It would harm the Republican propaganda mill and, therefore, will never be allowed. Elon Musk canceled the feature as soon as it began hurting Republicans. Story 92. It is hilarious to see people on Twitter realize that the internet is full of lies, but that will not happen here. Story 93. Wasn't there a brief time when one of the undersea cables was damaged, or at least when Russia was briefly disconnected from the World Wide Web, and many popular European Union and United States-based social media accounts mysteriously went dark? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Plenty of accounts seem happy to promote Russian destabilizing or right-wing content that is hosted locally. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.